Question for you. How much information can you relay without using a Google search? No Google search at all. You spew information without it. How much? Or better yet, how much information do you actually retain? Yeah, memory, the power of memory before the internet, after the internet. It's kind of interesting, the retaining of information. Like, okay, here's a good question for you. And this is just because there's the Jeopardy style of retaining information, because you look at the show Jeopardy and you look at some of the questions they're asked on the show, and you really got to be a scholar to get on that show. And there's a certain type of personality, and shout out to you that yeah, that's a challenge. But then there's just going about your daily routine. All right, you're just living life and you're soaking in the information and using it, soaking it in, using it, applying it. How much? Like, let's say a question like, I don't know. Okay, here's one. Pause this video, right? Tell me, or see if you can name all the presidents that have been in office your entire lifetime. Pause the video and try it without Google. Could you do it? Could you do it? All the presidents that have been in office in your lifetime. Well, let's see. I'm 45, so I've been around since 1976. So we had Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, Bush Sr., Bill Clinton, Bush Jr., Obama, Trump, and now Biden. There it is. So 8 presidents in my lifetime. So, it's just one of those kind of things that you retain. That's information. You shouldn't need a Google search for that. Some people do. All right. If you were able to do it, good job. Keep up the good work. Do you only retain the information that's important to you? Or are you a sponge and you soak up everything? There's some people that absorb everything. But see, here's the thing. We have these devices, and you use these devices. You don't really need to retain anything, right? Nowadays, simple Google search solves your problem. You can get on here on YouTube and figure out how to do something, which I do love, by the way. I do love that. I love that. Everything is on YouTube, isn't it? That's one thing I love about the 21st century. What do you love? 21st century or before? Some of you were born in the 20th century, right? I don't know. Now, you look at a guy like me, age 45, and you would probably think that all my love goes to the 20th century or before the internet. You're right. But there are things of the 21st century that I do appreciate. The ability to communicate with people at the push of a button. I love that. Someone in Japan, Germany, Australia, being able to communicate with people or reach out to people that you wouldn't have access to 30 years ago. Direct access, like someone that's in a certain profession and you want to reach out to that person, like a celebrity, for example. Accessibility, data, all this information that's right there at the push of a button, right? It's right there at your fingertips. What's crazy is now that we have the ability, all right, and we have the accessibility to all this information, how many people actually do the research? There's some people that have these tools, these devices that we have, and they don't use it for research. They take one bit of information from one source and they're done. Do you realize that 30 years ago, you would have to climb mountains and hills and catalogs and the library and encyclopedias in order to get that one piece of information? My goodness, and that's why people appreciated the information that they got, because it took a lot in order to get that information. So you really appreciated it. Now it's just boop, 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 there it is. So you really don't appreciate it all that much. It's like, yeah, I got it. Mm-hmm. Oh, you want the proof? It's right here. I got it right here. See? So again, how much information do you retain? Which point in life was better? I don't know. Life before devices or life after devices? What do I appreciate about life with these devices and the technological age here that we're in? YouTube. That would be my favorite, because there's so much on YouTube. Old commercials, music, Oh, I love it. And the other things that I've already mentioned. Life before, you know what I miss? The ability that people had to create great moments out of nothing. Organic creation. You're hanging out at the park, having a conversation, sometimes with random strangers that walk by, and all of a sudden you end up making friends, and those friends have stuck around for like 15 years, 20 years. It's the connective tissue between others. That's what I miss. The ability for high quality conversation. Because when people are going about their day, they're here. They're on the bus, they're here. People drive and do this, they're here, you're here, you're here. You see people walking and they're here. They walk for about 25 feet or 20 yards or whatever, and they're here. They have their head down. They're not paying attention to anything else. They might get slapped. They might get hit by a car, and they're down here, they're down here, they're down here, they're down here. And they don't process anything around them. They don't process the landscape. They don't feel the vibration. You know, we had an ability to pick up on vibrations more, I think. You know, there was something about eye contact and what that did, reading body language and what that did, knowing the difference between a conflict and resolution, listening to people to listen and not to talk. Because now that people text, they talk the way they text. They talk the way they text. Pay attention to this. When you see people communicate, they kind of overlap each other. There's no real listening, but that's how you do it when you text, because you don't have to process anything. Your fingers are doing this. You don't have to process anything. You don't. You just do that. Boop, boop, boop. You're done. You don't have to process it. So that's one thing I do miss. People had the ability to listen, process what was said, and know the difference between sarcasm and just quick wit, or humor, or sadness, or evil intent, right? Know the difference between constructive criticism and a joke or whatever. People were able to sift through this stuff. But now people don't understand that because they're doing this, maybe. But question, is the device the problem? I say no. I don't think the device is the problem, because it was inevitable that we were going to advance technologically. You know, that's not the problem. So then what is the problem in terms of the human experience, let's just say? I say balance is the problem. So it's not the use of the device, it's the overuse of the device. It's the fact that you rely so much on it and don't utilize anything in here. It's the fact that you use this so much, we rely on the device so much to the point to where we don't even use this anymore. Critical thinking, out the window. Intelligent discourse, out the window. Being able to navigate through different types of personalities and actually have patience with that, out the window. Overuse of the device is the issue, not the device itself. So I would challenge you to take a hard look at that. Patience with the process, because there is a process. Before these devices, people understood that there was a process. There was a process to become a great athlete. There was a process to become a great business person. There was a process to develop certain skills. Process. People had patience with the process. But now that we have these devices and other devices, all of that gets thrown out the window, and you want the shortcut. Shortcut. In terms of retaining information, for those of you that were born before 1990, do you remember when you lost patience with the process? Because some people who are my age have lost patience. There's some people that are baby boomers that have lost patience, right? Do you remember? Was it in 2008 with the iPhone? Was it in 2010 when Instagram fired off? Was it in 2013 when Twitter posts really started to increase even more? We've only had this around for a limited amount of time when you really think about it. 2005, I think, was YouTube. I think Facebook was 04, right? So within the last 20 years, within the last 15 years, or within the last 10 years, these things have increased in use to the point of overuse. So how long can you go without the device? It's kind of interesting because my mom, back when I was a kid in the 80s, she would take the television out of my room for very long periods of time. What did that do? It allowed for me to create other ways of entertaining self. Maybe it was reading a book, or maybe it was writing. It's actually when my writing developed, around the time when the television was removed. So then if you were to go a full day without the device, how much of your skills would return? I mean, of course, the device is not a television. Well, actually it is. It's a mini TV. I don't know. It's just interesting questions. It's interesting things to kind of think about, because eventually it'll get to a point to where we become zombies if we're not careful. You know, a person born in 2003 cannot live or survive without the use of a device. Or could they? Would they stress out? There's some people that it's almost like a drug. You need that dopamine hit. Oh, my God. You know, it's how long could you go without it? And would you be okay? I challenge you. How long could you go without it? Can you find the balance between the use of these devices and utilizing this, creating those organic moments, having those moments at the dinner table? All devices are gone. You're having a family dinner and you're just talking. You're just talking, hanging out with your friends. You're just having conversation. No device needed. We're just going to vibe right now. That's it. We're musicians. Put away the device. We're just going to have a jam session. We're just going to play these instruments and we just going to jam. We just going to jam. We just going to jam. I don't know.